The jungle at night is never quiet. It whispers, it breathes, it moves. Two campers, Emma and Daniel, thought they could handle it. They weren't city people. They loved the outdoors, the thrill of hiking off trail, setting up camp where no one else dared to go. And when they found a clearing deep inside the jungle, they knew it was perfect. They pitched their tent, built a fire, cooked beans from a can, and laughed under the stars. But they didn't know that the jungle had already noticed them. After the fire burned down, they crawled into their tent. The rain fly rattled gently in the breeze, insects buzzed in the distance, and the faint call of an owl echoed. For hours, they whispered about everything, their lives, their dreams, the next day's hike. And then they heard it, a faint rustling outside. At first, they thought it was just the jungle. Maybe a monkey, maybe a boar. But then came the sound. The slow, deliberate zip of their tent door, the zipper sliding, just an inch, then stopping. Emma froze. Daniel grabbed the flashlight, flicking it on. Nothing. The zipper was still closed. The tent was untouched. They laughed nervously, blaming their imagination. But neither of them slept that night. The next day was exhausting. The sun was hot, the air heavy, and the trails endless. By the time they returned to camp, they were sore and drained. But the tent was waiting for them, and so was the jungle. That night the noises returned. Rustling, crunching leaves, something circling. Emma whispered, "Do you hear that?" And then, zip, this time it was louder, clearer, the zipper on their tent door slowly sliding down. Half an inch. Daniel lunged forward, yanking it shut, his hands shaking. He shone the flashlight through the thin tent wall. Shadows moved outside. Not animals, not human either. The shapes were tall, thin, unnatural. The flashlight flickered, and when the beam steadied again, the shadows were gone. By now, fear had replaced exhaustion. They thought about leaving, but night had already fallen. The trail back was impossible in the dark, so they stayed. But this time, they zipped the tent door all the way up and tied it shut with rope. Inside, the air felt suffocating. The jungle outside was silent. Not even insects dared to make a sound. At 2 a.m., Daniel's eyes snapped open. Someone was walking outside. Crunch, crunch, each step deliberate. Then came the scratching. Long fingernails dragging slowly across the tent fabric. Emma whimpered, clutching his arm, and then the zipper jerked. Not slow this time. Violent, something was pulling at it. Harder, faster, the rope strained. And then it stopped. The silence was worse than the sound. And in that silence came the voice. A whisper, right outside the thin fabric. "Let me in." At dawn, Emma and Daniel tried to leave, but the trail was gone. Every path circled back to the clearing. Like the jungle itself was keeping them there. They decided to wait until morning. That night they didn't light a fire. They didn't talk. They sat in the dark, praying for dawn. But the jungle was awake. At exactly 3 a.m., the zipper began to move again. Slow, deliberate. The rope strained, the fabric shook, and then it opened. Not all the way. Just enough for a hand to slip through. Pale, long, fingers that weren't human. Emma screamed. Daniel grabbed her hand, but the hand inside the tent grabbed him back and pulled. The tent shook violently as Daniel was dragged toward the opening. He screamed, kicking, clawing, begging Emma to hold on. But she couldn't. The last thing she saw was Daniel being pulled through the gap. and then silence. The jungle swallowed him whole. When the zipper closed again, the tent was empty. The next morning, hikers found the clearing. The tent was still there, neatly zipped shut. Inside, only Emma sat alone, her eyes wide, her hands clutching the rope. She didn't speak, she didn't move, but scratched into the inside of the tent, over and over again, were words written with bloody fingernails. Never opened the zipper. And every night since, in that same jungle clearing, campers say they hear it. The slow, patient sound of a zipper sliding down.